Hello, welcome back. Right. Everything is dark and silent, but you are awake.
Oh, great.
You probably all take a moment to adjust, but you are sort of lying, positioned in your pods. But they are all, you can see in the dim light that the seals are slightly lifted on them, so you can open them.
Is this like the recognized part of the awakening process, or is this unusual?
You wouldn't expect everything to be dark and silent. By dark, I mean there's no lights on. You can't see any lights on any terminals.
This seems like a job for a mechanic.
Get
up and start trying to find see what's happened with the lights. And
can everybody make me a Constitution roll, please?
That's just rolling directly below your con, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that does not work. What happens if you roll a 95?
96 is where it starts to get real dicey.
Okay, cool. Because I rolled 95, so we're okay, I guess. Everything's fine.
I rolled a 24 against my con of 80, so that's
nice.
Well under the half.
Con of 80? Oh, wow, that's a good con. I rolled 32 under my con of 50. So.
I failed with 81 over my con of 57.
Okay, so Din and Moore, when you get up, you are kind of stumbling a little and struggling. You know, your legs haven't been used for you don't know how long actually, but they haven't been used, and you are struggling to keep yourselves upright. Parker and Gilman are basically, Parker especially is just back at it. You know, maybe it's the military training. You're not sure, but you're basically up and at them. So yeah, you are working your way around. Can you make me a mechanical repair roll, please? What is everybody else doing during this? That's important, actually.
I think I would have. So I'll get out. I'll do a couple of sort of, can I still maths? Can I still understand words? Oh, that's encouraging and somewhat surprising. Maybe glance at Parker, just, obviously going around totally unaffected. Look at Dinning and Moore, and then head over to the medical supplies and maybe try and find some things to sort of pep them up and check them over and see how they're doing and I don't know, stimulants or antifreeze or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I'm dry heaving and maybe trying to rub some moisture back into my dry eyes. But my first instinct would be to help Parker out, but I don't see myself moving anywhere particularly quickly.
Go ahead.
I'm happy for you to make a mechanical repair roll, Justin, and we can deal with that in a moment. Go on, John.
My first instinct is also to help Parker, but if I'm tripping over myself, then I don't want to get in the way and cause more problems. So I'm probably going to take myself off to the side and try and physically work simple calisthenics and stretches and try and get my limbs working, or at least assess what's wrong more than just kind of.
Inga, how did your repair roll go?
Very well. I rolled a 37, and I'm actually, I don't know if this will make a difference, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to use 2 luck points to bring that down to 35, which is half for me on the mechanical repair.
I rolled a 3.
Wow.
So that's just so we're there.
Holy.
I'm having a very, swingy rolls right now.
Okay, so Parker manages to bring back on the basic life support systems, at which point, just as she's kind of doing it, you do realize that you've taken in kind of a shallow breath just before you've managed to get that back on again.
Worrying that that's something that needed to be turned back on.
Yeah. And then you're kind of working around a couple of other bits. And Gilman you have given, you maybe rubbed some deep heat on, like if Moore's legs are still struggling, you've kind of done that, and maybe also provided the maybe slightly more medicinal equivalent of a Pro Plus to Dinning and Moore.
UK base are absolutely on top.
Experimental
DP
cryogenics.
and Pro Plus,
Trusted medicine.
They just
things get really bad.
Like
the aspirin.
Like that on there. Yeah.
Maybe Moore is mumbling something around the same time of if the lights are out, it's probably this circuit on panel 4.2 or something like that.
Yeah. So then Moore flips a couple of switches off and then moves a couple of wires around, maybe replaces a fuse, and then flicks those switches back on, and a whole bunch of things come back on, many of which are flashing, and then there starts to be an alarm sound. And you look at one of the sensors, and then for the first time kind of take a look up out of the view, and you can see that you are approaching a celestial body.
Cool.
And it's actually part of the reason that you didn't realize is because it is taking up the entire front.
All of these flashing lights and things, and the alarms and stuff. Is this a imminent collision, or is this a everything's ship is failing kind of? Is this a pilot get on it or a mechanic get on it kind of?
So some of the flashing lights are because things are still not what the ship would class as fully operational. So there may be so this is almost like some of the bits that are flashing are like internal diagnostics. So you've turned the main thing on, which is then telling you that some other things are still not on. But we
both got to get busy, basically.
The alarm, after a moment, you realise is what should have kind of been going off at the time that you are approaching Europa, as part of the waking you up situation.
Cool.
So is that not concerning that it's going off?
No, but you don't know how long it should have been going off for.
Yeah. Can I jump to my pilot's seat, cockpit, something, and just try and appraise the situation? Happy to do so with a astronomy check, or a navigate check, or a pilot check, or something else.
Yeah, let's do navigate.
I rolled a regular success, 35 under 60.
Okay. Yeah, you think that you have enough time to make a safe landing. You're not too concerned about that.
And this is Europa. We're not.
I was going to ask if no one else is.
You're pretty sure it looks from here like you would expect it to look from here. And actually, as you're having that thought, a large spout of water vapor shoots past the front of the.
That's new.
Of the windscreen, which
turn the wipers on.
Can let me see. What's like just a space knowledge roll? That probably isn't
astronomy.
Astronomy. Yeah, is that what you just rolled?
No, I rolled navigate.
Oh, okay.
My astronomy is much better, and I rolled 54 under 80.
Okay. You know that this is something that they believe happens on Europa. There's a thin atmosphere, and there are they think some kind of geothermal vents that then result in breaks in the ice and water vapor. Thus, it's about an eighth of the Earth's gravity and a very thin atmosphere. So any water that is
can be ejected,
sent out with any speed, can be ejected straight from the atmosphere.
All right, everyone, let's get some of these alarms fixed. Everything looks okay. I think maybe we're a bit late waking up, but plenty of time to make a safe landing. So get to it, and I'll focus on this.
Already on it.
Is Din joining in, John?
Yeah, I'll now that Moore is busy and I'm slightly pepped, I'll try and help out Parker.
Yeah.
Hold this.
Have you made a roll yet?
Keep that button pressed while I, etc.
I will make a roll now. Exactly right.
Okay,
40 on
nice.
40.
Yeah, you between you managed to get. There are still some flashing lights by the time that it's time to sort of buckle in, but they're not hugely important systems. You managed to get everything that you need back online in time. The cryo is still offline, but that's something that you can deal with. But you don't need that to be able to land, so like you can deal with that momentarily. Okay, can I have a pilot roll from you, please, Justin?
It is like my worst skill.
He's better at landings than takeoffs. I
think I might actually be better at repairing spacecraft than flying them. But I rolled 29, so that's good in my books.
Is that below half or?
That is no, it's regular.
Okay.
Success.
Okay, great. Yes, much smoother. So, as you are descending, you feel a very small tremor as you pass through the very thin atmosphere. Nothing like you would experience on re-entry to Earth's atmosphere. And similarly, you don't. Once you have kind of decreased your downwards motion with thrusters, you don't have to have quite as much thrust on to keep you from dropping faster. So you're actually saving a little bit of fuel there because of the lower gravity. And yes, you managed to touch everyone down in a safe landing. The only thing that you don't know is, theoretically, you're on the side of the moon that you're supposed to have been, but you basically emergency landed with a little bit of time to make sure it was safe. And
just like in the manuals.
But yes, you have touched down safely. Everybody's, probably quite relieved.
I'm going to send I'm going to put out a message, which I expect will be received in 3 hours, to mission
first thing I want to
control.
do is check the comms. Check the comms system is one of the ones that's operational, and if not, get that working.
Parker's comms up.
Fine.
Comms then like nav or any kind of sensor thing to make sure to check where we are and.
Yeah, well, Parker, let me know when that's online, and I'll send a message.
Yeah, you've got that on. That's fine.
Great. Then I will. I mean, would it be something we do with audio, or probably would still be, right? Because
it'd go radio waves, so you can do audio. Yeah.
Well, then I basically explained that there was some kind of fault, and we woke up a little late from cryo, but not too late to impact the landing. We landed successfully, and we still need to do a recon on the ship to make sure that all landing gear and takeoff, is all working fine. But as I currently see things, it seems like a mostly safe landing, and we'll try and get to the bottom of whatever this fault was that caused the problem. Looking forward to hearing from you. I can't wait to hear who won that election. Ha 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 ha. More signing off.
Once you have sent that message, everyone make me a listen roll, please.
fail.
97 over 20.
Wow. I pass. I got 15 under 40, so that's under half as well.
I keep missing by 1, so I'm going to spend a luck point and pass exactly.
Okay. So you two hear this sort of creaking, like a kind of almost like a door opening when it needs the joints lubricating, like a, and then followed by a low sort of, and that cycle kind of continues. They're not the exact same sound every time, but it's almost like how thunder always follows lightning. It's that kind of the high pitched and then the low pitched.
Can I don't hear any of this. Can I check if we've had any message, if while we've been asleep, we've received any messages from UK base or anyone else, I suppose, but I mean, maybe like the other NASA mission or anything like that, if there's been any received comms?
Yeah, you've got a couple of banked messages. So you each have 2 happy birthday and Merry Christmas messages from friends or family members. And you have 3 monthly sort of important news updates and UK base updates and that kind of thing. And last of all of those, you do have a message from the NASA team saying that they have set down safely, and they give the date as the 15th of December 2027. You don't know what date it is currently, but you think you're not much after that.
Do we have a timestamp, or do we know how long ago it was that we received that NASA one? Yeah, did we get that 2 years ago, or is that like the most recent message that arrived within a day, or whatever?
Yeah, so all they've basically given that date in the message, but you don't know the current date, so you can't. Yeah,
we can't see how long it's been. I guess systems have been offline, so we can't see this was received. X number of hours ago or anything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Captain, I suppose wonder whether we should also be sending a message back to the NASA shuttle.
Yeah. Why didn't you get on that? I'm still feeling a bit groggy after waking up.
I think
I'll send just a very simple kind of, also here, received your communique, had some mechanical issues, trying to figure things out. And I don't know if our nav stuff is good enough that we've got any kind of sense of location or, coordinates or anything like that. If anything that we do have, I would send off as, I guess, be quite a dry technical kind of message, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'll be trying to place this sound I can hear. I think I don't know whether I've seen Mark looking. I don't know whether I know that Mark has heard it as well, but I'll be sort of wandering around and trying to figure out whether it's something internal or whether it's transmitted vibrations through the landing struts or something. So yes, you'll probably see Alex just sort of wandering around, in a somewhat perplexed state, trying to listen to things.
Go on, Justin.
I'd like to do 2 things. Well, the next 2 things I'd like to do. First would be to check that whether, from what we can see internally from our diagnostics, like all of the landing gear and takeoff gear and all the things that might have been damaged in a landing are not damaged from what I can see, and the other one would be to pull up our the log of our flight trajectory and see if there was any things that took us off course or got anything that deviated from our plan, basically.
Okay.
See if it all went to plan, basically.
Okay, yeah. So everybody else will probably hear Andrew give an audible sigh of relief as you look through all of this stuff, and basically everything is fine. You've got about an hour of lost data, which is just before you brought the systems back online, and you those things are time stamped, so you can see that there is an hour where it looks like there was nothing,
or at least the machine thinks it was an hour.
Yeah. So if you're working on that hour basis, you can figure out when it is now and how long ago that transmission was as well. And you think that was probably 8 to 12 hours, that NASA transmission from the other crew. But yeah, all of the landing struts and the boosters and everything, they all look to be fine.
So this other crew, I missed. What was their main?
Sort of the same thing as you.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe they've got slightly different telemetries that they're picking up, but basically, it's almost you figure it's almost like a fail-safe as well. If something goes wrong with one of them, there's another one. There's twice as much chance of success. So yeah, you figure they're probably picking up basically the same things as you are.
But maybe also a slight sense of national competition.
I think NASA planned this, and then UK base were like, "Oh, we can do this too!" And quick, find a freezer.
I am also going to determine the source of the noise.
Okay. You definitely don't think it's internal. In fact, you can both make me astronomy rolls if you want. I keep nearly saying astrology, and I don't want an astrology roll. Thank you very much.
Maybe just as good at this point.
I don't have astronomy on my sheet, so what is the?
It's a science roll.
It's a science
specialism.
Okay. Can we do? You can do a hard knowledge roll, so that's your half stat.
That's my knowledge. Yes.
The top.
Yeah, I can try that.
Education, yeah.
Pass. 34 and 40.
Okay, you both think that it may be something to do with the icy crust of the moon that you are on.
Yeah, I didn't.
Similarly to, if you stand on a frozen lake, there can be sounds. The Air Chief Marshal did describe the icy crust as thick, so I don't think that you would be too concerned about it. But I'll leave that up to your own sort of thoughts on.
I think I'd want to, when Mark and I convene, discuss things, I'd suggest it's probably a good idea if we keep tabs on the frequency of these sounds, and if there is something, if this is ice based, it would be good to just check that it's sort of regular and consistent, and that we get alerted if it changes in frequency.
The ice monster of this moon has taken John.
Oh no, frozen.
He's
yes,
frozen. Dun dun dun. Good one, Johnny.
We're on an ice planet and you freeze. That's very suspicious.
How staring out of the as we've called it, windshield of this spacecraft, what do I see of the frozen surface of Europa?
You see almost like a desert, like a tundra. However, there are some quite notable
Landmarks,
differences between sort of the Arctic or Antarctic here and this planet. So there are it's not completely flat, so there are some sort of raises, but these are lower than sort of the highest. You would guess a couple of 100 meters at the most for these sort of dunes or raises, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And there are also some sort of almost like icy spikes.
Cool. Like
if,
icy stallic.
Yeah, as if sort of
tides.
some vapor has shot out and immediately frozen. So there are these kind of frozen plumes, which are, you can see sort of an area of them over in one direction. They're not everywhere. So you think maybe that may be where there is some a warmer area underneath. Yeah.
What was Dinning's expertise again, John? What was his area of brilliance?
Sort of first aid and general maintenance.
Cool. That's good. Well, I am going to posit that it would be good to sample those locations if possible. And knowing full well what the situation is from UK Space with what they provided us, RE, spacesuits and or traversal equipment, do I think that it's are there any any candidates emerging in this moonscape that I'm like, yeah, we should go there?
I mean, certainly that the area that I've just described is not like anything that you have seen anywhere on Earth. And with these kind of hot water jets, maybe there is some mineral deposit within that may be worth investigating. You do know that you have sort of reinforced spacesuits to like thermal, even more so than you might have for the coldness of space.
Cool.
So yeah, you do know that there has been some thought put into the equipment.
I'm kind of more working out. Do we are we going to be walking wherever we're going to be sampling, or do we have any buggies with us this time?
You have a buggy. Yeah,
have a buggy, and that seems like a reasonable thing to do. I'm going to share this with the group and ask for ideas otherwise about
Johnny,
what they'd like to do.
In terms of the sort of diagnostics of the ship and the work and everything, like, do we understand, from fixing stuff up and going, whatever we've been looking at with all of this, like, is there an understanding of like why we seem to have woken up late, why things were turned off, the life support had failed, like, essentially, does the ship look like it's in good nick, or like no idea what's happening? Essentially, I guess trying to sense whether that seems more important to stay on the ship and try and fix things or figure things out versus
it does seem in good nick. There is a little bit that you need to do, like I said, in terms of getting the cryo back online, and there are a couple of other minor systems that ideally you would want everything online before you set off, but they're not strictly necessary. And in terms of sort of what happened, you're not sure. It's almost like a full power cut situation, and because everything was off, there's no sort of diagnostic to say what happened.
Okay, but there's nothing that looks obviously broken or anything. So I think I might not be talking about this out loud. But I think in my head, I'm thinking this I'll have to get to the cryo's unit stuff. It must be something to do with that. The ship's fine. It's got to be something. This is something funny. This is
just used too much power. Yeah,
I suppose when the power went off, the cryo units stopped, and that woke us up. Does that seem reasonable, Parker?
I can't see anything wrong with the ship that would have cut the power. So I'm wondering if it's the other way around. Something's shorted or whatever with the cryo units that's then also shut down everything on the rest of the ship. But again, I need to get into the cryo units. The last thing I've not really got into is the
right. And
yeah,
I think the cryo units I think are low priority. I think what I'd like to see is Parker to get out as soon as possible and check all of the landing and takeoff gear is all fine. But before that, Gilman, Dinning, we've just had maybe a emergency wake up from these things. You got to read over the manuals before we went out. Is there anything that's, from a medical perspective, is there anything for you to say that we should be being cautious about what we're doing, having been brought out of these things somewhat unorthodoxly?
I mean, if we have time, I'd maybe like to take some blood tests and do a few quick checks. We all seem to be responding reasonably, but yes, a few checks might be worthwhile.
Let's do that.
I am a little interested by the sounds that we're hearing. I would like to
sounds.
Yes, there's a rhythmic. It's presumably the ice. Can you hear that now? And I will sort of indicate.
Cool.
Like a squeak and a rumble.
Yeah, I'm going to lean against the ship and listen to it against the metal. Oh yeah.
I'd like maybe to if we've got do we have a seismograph or if we can deploy one of those outside?
Check the bag of toys. Seismograph?
Yeah.
It's got a label on it saying seismograph. Seismometer.
Yeah, maybe getting one of those placed so that we're, I trust your piloting, but I'd be happier knowing that we're in a stable part of the ice sheet.
Agreed, especially for when we need to take off.
Certainly. Well,
I'll pull out any of the gear people are asking about, and then
let's
roll up the sleeve or whatever you need for blood tests.
Yeah, Parker seemed to be relatively good, so perhaps you can start on the blood tests on Dinning and I, and Parker. In the meantime, you can have a quick check around the ship, then get back for Gilman's medical.
I'll do the last checks, but I think everything, apart from the cryo units, like I said, I think everything's pretty much up and running again now.
Are you trying to fix anything more, Inga, during this time?
If there's anything else that still needs fixing, then yeah.
Do you want to make me a roll?
Mechanical repair again.
Does assisting help in any way? Or
that's a 60 under my 70, so it's a straight success.
I will say that you've got everything now back online apart from the cryo, which you think might be a slightly longer job. Not that there's anything like huge, but just it's a complex system. And you want to make sure you get it right, so you kind of got these couple of minor systems back online first, and then that might require a bit more time. But yeah, everything else seems operational again now.
I'll report that. Yeah.
Fantastic. What about our medicals?
Blood tests from everyone.
Ideally.
Do you want to make a medicine roll, Steve? Is it medicine? Science medicine? Or medicine? Just medicine?
I have medicine, yeah.
It's a lot of the usual sort of questions here. What day of the week is it? Who's the current Prime Minister? All of these sorts of things.
We don't know. We don't know.
What colour should blood be?
That's a good question, actually. What about, like, I suppose internally we have good light, but like out near Jupiter, light not so good. My understanding is.
It isn't as light. You have sort of large, heavy-duty flashlight style lights with you.
Cool.
The full day cycle is about 8 hours. So you have sort of probably 3 hours of workable dim light.
Cool.
Of which you are some way into currently. You don't know exactly how long through that period you are now. Your rover thing obviously has lighting as well. And quite a large floodlight on top. So if you were to drive somewhere, you can set the floodlight and then you'll be able to see a reasonable amount as well.
Well, for that medicine roll, I rolled 64 under 70, so that I get a pass.
Okay, cool. In that case, I will say that Moore and Dinning are basically in a fully, also in a fully operational state. So your leg muscles have been caressed back to normality.
Fantastic.
With deep heat and
it's amazing that turns out all those alternative medicines are really fantastic.
Now the space shuttle just smells of menthol and eucalyptus and
patchouli.
From what I understand, spaceships smell gross because it's like you can crack a window, right? So smell of menthol and deep heat is probably the better kind of smell for a spaceship.
Did no one bring any air freshener? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this one's shaped like a tree hanging off the rearview mirror. Yeah.
But that one needs replacing like a year and a half ago. So,
okay, all medicaled and ship mostly fixed. What is your plan now?
Let's go outside. Let's go for a walk. I think. I mean, like maybe I would do like try and I would like to know, like, to be able to navigate this environment when we're outside. So from our vantage point in the shuttle or whatever it is that we've got, the lander, like to do some kind of, work out what the landmarks are, so we can orient ourselves.
We can probably drop some sort of beacon as well if necessary.
Beacons, yeah. Obviously,
that's presumably we didn't get anything back from the NASA after the comms sent out to them. We haven't had anything back, but last check before we head out.
No, not yet. You can have on the top of the vessel that you landed in. There is like a flashing light set as well. So you can see that from a distance, but you can sort of orient yourself. So there's the direction with the sort of plumes, and also sort of around from them is that almost hilly area that I was describing, and the if we were to say that the hills were to the north of your vessel, then the plumy area is to the west. You haven't noticed anything distinguishable from the other directions, but you can at least orient yourself on that sort of triangular shape.
Yeah. We can't see any flashing lights, beacon type things from the other vessel either. Were we expecting to? I mean, obviously we put out some comms just to say we've arrived, and so did they. But like, were we expecting to like meet up to take samples and things, or was it more of a just we're both there and kind of operating fairly independently? Just nice to know we're there, sort of thing.
You weren't required to meet up. There is some difficulty with the rotation of the moon, and you wouldn't be arriving at the same time. And really, the main thing is everybody's safety, landing and getting back, and actually adding in a complication like that, if it's not necessary, would be.
So it's okay. We haven't seen them, and they're not expecting. It's okay that we're heading off without having seen or heard back from them. Cool, that's fine.
Right. Well, I'll give everyone a briefing of what we're going to do, and that we're going to go check out the plume first and take some samples, and that if that goes well and there's plenty of time, then we'll go to some other landmarks. The other one, was it ridges or something, or furrows?
Yeah, sort of like hilly, hilly protrusions.
Those the hilly bits. We'll get to those. Are there any? That's my, that's just my opinion. If we're happy to.
No, that
Yes,
sounds.
sir, Captain.
That sounds good.
Can I have a recap of what the plan was? Because
Yes.
If you weren't listening,
cut
that's
out
your own
during
fault.
Yeah, exactly. You cut out during the briefing where I basically said, "This is what everything looks like. We're going to go to the water fountain jets, where we're definitely not going to get blasted in space, and then if everything is fine, then the fact that it's throwing water vapor up into the atmosphere probably fine.
Yeah.
Should let's
Need
spot the
some
body right
tethers
on
and
top of that.
pitons and stuff to.
But if that all goes great, then we'll go to the hilly furrow bits, presuming there's time, and then we'll head back. And
we could go sledging.
Yeah, exactly. We could do whatever we want. And then everyone was like, "That sounds like a great idea. Let's do it." So let's do it.
yes.
Okay.
Suit up.
You suit up. Okay, upon opening the door of the vessel, the creaking and groaning is substantially louder. It's quite sort of all-encompassing. And in fact, Justin, can you make an astronomy roll again, please?
Yeah, just a regular 55
Okay.
under 80.
You are aware that these sounds have been observed from Earth, and it is believed that it is due to the strong gravitational pull of Jupiter and the way that that the moon moves closer and further away from the planet causes a stretching, and it's that basically that means that the ice is never fully settled because it's constantly being slightly pulled and released again. So
Sure.
you think
I'll
that's what
explain
the sound
this
is.
in a calm way as we buggy over, or I suppose if it's the first time we're going out, I'll explain this as calmly whenever we're doing. But I do think it'd be worth again checking to see if there's any signs of damage on the vessel.
Just a visual outside.
Yeah, like none of the legs are broken, none of the thrusters of it. There's not like a massive shaft device impaling the hull of the craft.
Not yet.
There's nothing clinging to the outside.
Nothing clinging to the bottom.
Space barnacles.
No.
Something
Cool.
on the wing. No, it's fine.
No, cool. Can I also get like what kind of vessel? Like, is it like a kind of like a moonlander kind of thing with legs, or is it like a?
No, it's kind of
like a shuttle.
Yeah, you've come down in the entire thing basically,
right?
And you've kind of turned it and used the thrusters to then land.
All right, we've done like a vertical landing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it all worked fine, guys. Okay, well then, sure. No, if everything looks tickety boo, then let's.
Yep.
Let's roll.
So you are heading over to these spouts, which as you get closer, you realize just how large they are. They are many meters tall, and they looked like they were quite close together from when you were back at your ship, but actually there's more than enough room to drive the buggy through them. Can everybody make spot hidden rolls for me, please?
That's encouraging.
Just a regular fail.
71 over 25. Big fail.
15 under 70, which is almost one of the super amazing passes. But
well, I rolled 100, so to screw you. I was thinking that Gilman would have been staring up at the stars during the buggy trip over. He's kind of trying to check the constellations are correct.
But isn't 100 like a 0? I forget.
Oh,
it's
no,
a fumble.
No, it's 01 to 100. Yes, you can't roll 0 on D100.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's the top fumble.
Top fumble.
Din, as everybody's kind of looking around and scanning things out, you spot as you pass one of the sort of protrusions, and before your vision to the side is kind of blocked by another one, in that gap, you see what looks like a ship, like a shuttle.
I think I have eyes on the NASA party.
Have they not landed yet? Well, I say looking up.
No, over there. Well, I mean,
They have landed. We got comms saying they've landed. You found the landing site.
Over there.
Unless there's another agency out here.
Yeah, Jonny, if we turn to look where Mark is pointing, can we see anything?
You would need to reposition, kind of turn.
Let's do that.
Either go back or turn sort of right 90 degrees to be moving along that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like provided that I feel confident that I'm not going to lose where I am. I'm assuming I'm piloting this buggy, but who the hell knows? That's a more important thing to do. If they somehow landed next to us, that's important.
Yeah, okay. You head over, and indeed, within a couple of moments, you see. You can't tell if it's the NASA one from here yet, but you definitely see another shuttle that looks reasonably similar to yours.
Is the light blinking?
You can see a little light blinking.
We have some sort of comms on the buggy, right? So is it possible to send a message to the NASA ship from the buggy?
Yes.
Yeah, shall we
go for it, Parker?
This is the UK based team. We're in our buggy for samples. I think we've come across your landing site. Are you currently in the shuttle or out exploring?
You do not hear a response.
Well, I would say, well, I don't know. Maybe, Captain, we can give it a few minutes, or we can leave another message just to say we've passed by and to drop us a message, or I don't know. What do you?
When we received the message from the NASA mission, did it say that they had arrived and touched down, or did it say that they had touched down and were having a nice picnic because everything's gone absolutely flipping fine? It said
they'd arrived and touched down. Badly? No, it said that they had touched down and that they were sort of intending on beginning their investigations soon.
So I don't know whether it might be worth reaching out if we're this close. I don't know. Maybe it's worth spreading the manpower here to get sample rather than doubling up on any samples and things we're taking. It might be worth knowing where they've gone, but
how much of a time detour would that be, Jonny?
Oh, a couple of minutes each way. It's not far.
Let's do that then. Yeah, easy. I'll start driving over.
Okay, yeah. So you sort of weave through these. You would guess that some of these are 15 meters tall. These kind of ice shafts. They're pretty hefty. So you kind of wind through them, and you make your way to. It's not a clearing, but it's like a slightly larger gap between some of them, which you've driven through a couple of already, so it's not like a complete outlier. Where this shuttle is put down, and are you sort of pulling up outside and
pretty much
going to knock on the door almost?
That's what I think we should do if we haven't got any contact. I mean, I'm going to explain to the people that this probably means that we will only see one of the other sites today, because I think this is going to take some time. But let's check on what's going on. It's very unusual that we can't get comms contact.
Can we see like the state of the airlock, or are there any tracks?
It looks fine. There doesn't look to be any visible damage to the vessel at all.
Oh, that's good. Makes a change.
There are make a spot hidden roll again, I think. No, maybe track.
I was also going to look for tracks, so could I also roll for that?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you're better than I am. I've got base in track, and I rolled 65 over 10. So
okay.
I also have base, and I rolled 2.
That's good.
Wow.
Okay.
That's good.
Wow. That's an extreme success, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You both see the tracks. Gilman gets a little bit kind of turned around trying to follow them, because there has been some activity around this point. So, people have been wandering in multiple directions around here. But Din does manage to actually pick up kind of a trail going away with a few sets of footsteps. There's also, it is lower gravity and they're kind of bounding, so it's easy enough to think, oh, there's not a track that carries on that way, but actually it's maybe a meter before the, or 2 meters before the next footprint. So Din does pick that up.
It looks like they left on foot in that direction. It's a little hard to pick up how many there were with, gravity, but
they're all wearing the same shoes.
A bit weird they didn't take their buggy. I assume they've got one, but maybe we just leave a comm to say that we stopped by and
the way they're going, it isn't in the direction of where we're going, is it? It doesn't go to one of it. Doesn't look like it's going in. Well, where does it look like it's going?
Basically directly away from where you have landed. So it is kind of further through this ice chute field.
Could we follow it in the direction of one of these spouts that we wanted to get to, or do it take us in the wrong way?
You're at the spouts now. This is where they are.
Okay, so, around where they've landed.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's.
Can I ask this before we proceed too much? But now we're kind of like at the spouts, like, is anything different kind of sound wise essentially, presumably spouts appear, like, is there any kind of sense of like warning that we would have, or if there's another one that's going to come at some point, wouldn't want to be standing right underneath one, I guess.
I'd like to, yes, when we've picked a spot, I'd definitely like to get some sensors down to, try and give us some early warning if things do kick off.
There's no sort of bulging in the ice or anything like that, which you don't know for definite, but you don't imagine it would just shoot up with no sort of, because the ice is supposed to be very thick. So what you would expect is pressure to build with the temperature, and for there to be kind of, something. Maybe that's what those hilly areas are over there. Maybe that is going potentially. You don't know, because they are quite big, so maybe they're too big for that. But yeah, at the moment, you don't think you have any reason to be concerned here.
We want to head in the same direction as them then, or explore something different. Captain.
Well,
no, gone.
We wanted to sample the spouts, so we could make sure we have at least one sample, and then decide from there.
We have loads of these sample pots, right, Johnny?
Yeah, you've got plenty.
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't sample directly outside NASA's spacecraft. Just give them a bit of distance.
Leave them something. Yeah, well, then I'd say I'd like to follow the tracks for a bit, and then maybe find a particularly impressive spout, and then especially if it doesn't look like it's surrounded by footprints of people who have taken things from them, then let's go there.
Yeah, just as an aside as well, I'll be keeping an eye on oxygen and all that, monitoring systems and stuff.
Cool. You find an ice plume that Moore is happy with, and you take a kind of presumably a scraping
this is the
into
one.
the pot. Din still presumably keeping an eye on the tracking. So you have that sample now, and you kind of tuck it away in a secure pocket. Cool. Are you still following after them?
What do we think, team?
I was also going to take a sample of the ground ice.
Yes,
good idea.
Just this is usable as well.
Okay.
I assume there'll also be some other kind of general readings, because I know that there's a bit of an aside. There's also chat about whether maybe if Europa is habitable. So presumably there's also, it's not just water readings. There'll be some other kind of sensors and readings that should be being captured as you go as well. Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's set up for a good suite of things, and then if we can kind of see where their path is, if we haven't seen them come back by the time that I will be basically broaching the team do we think this is suspicious? Do we think that maybe if we still can't, I assume we still can't raise them on the comms, then this is worth investigating.
Yeah, you've still had nothing back from them.
The fact that they've been gone so long on foot with presumably limited equipment, it doesn't feel good.
Doesn't fill me with confidence, no.
They're closest to these plumes, though, so maybe they didn't feel the need to take the buggy. We had further to travel, but yeah, it's handy for the sensors and things, isn't it? So,
well, maybe we can.
It does seem a bit weird.
Offer them a lift back.
Seemed to be the nice thing to do. If
yeah,
be a shame to come all this way and not say hello.
You've still got this
noise.
Is it the same cadence as before?
Yeah, it's just louder because you're outside. But it's quite you and you can see, if you look up, you can see Jupiter kind of taking up a reasonable amount of space in the sky, and you can see quite much more distant than you're used to seeing on Earth. You can see the sun, and you think I would say that Moore thinks you've probably got an hour until dark, because you can see it's kind of edging towards.
Right. Well, I think we follow the tracks for another 10 minutes, and then if we don't run into them by then, I think we turn off. We know we do have to. We haven't heard anything.
Yeah, it would be good to get back to our craft before it gets dark.
And it would be good to go and see if we can get to those hills before. I don't mind getting back to the craft late, but I would rather not be taking samples once the sun's set. Or once we're losing the light.
They might just have a comms issue. They might be receiving the messages and can't send back.
But still, that's a good enough reason to go and.
Yeah.
But we can't waste a whole day just following around these tracks on a wild goose chase. So let's do that.
I know our suits are insulated and heated, but are we reasonably confident that they are insulated enough for nighttime on Europa? Or is it mostly like a daytime Like, don't be outside in the night kind of thing.
You haven't been told that.
Okay, so we don't know.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that like Sam would have had like going over with the schematics and stuff. Like, and I mean, if it's only like 3 hours of like sunlight, the daylight or whatever, then and we're only here for like 2 days. Like, I guess my assumption was that we are probably working. You know, we need.
Yeah.
That's very little time otherwise. But...
Okay, good. Then that's not a concern. Okay.
That's the plan then. I'm gonna.
Well, we'll see.
We'll pile back into the things. The seismology sensors apparently didn't show any warnings, and I'm going to follow the tracks for another 10 minutes or so. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. I guess did the tracks? What have we garnered about the tracks? Are they kind of like pretty direct? Are they meandering all over the place, taking samples?
No, they're kind of going in a straight line. They do look like they've maybe stopped. You know, you've got some slightly deeper impressions where they've maybe stopped and they've sunk in a little, where maybe they've been collecting samples, but they do just seem to be continuing over in this direction. Maybe on landing they spotted something past this field of these things that they're investigating. You're not sure.
Well, I'm going to turn off. Let's make a note of the time and the place, and I'm going to turn towards those ridges and furrows, the undulations in the landscape.
Okay.
As long as I think that we have time to get there and get back to the ship in reasonable time.
Are you in the buggy now or on foot?
In the buggy, back in the buggy.
Okay.
Back to the buggy.
Yeah, you can get over there and get back.
Right, let's do it.
So you head over there, and as you arrive there and seeing the sort of look of the ground, kind of mottled, and you think this maybe is like a maybe not recent, but sort of a pressure bulge. But it does look, they do look solid. So, and again, perhaps this is caused by the gravity. You know, maybe parts of the moon are pulled more when it's closer to Jupiter, and it's that's caused it. Again, you don't necessarily think you have any reason to be concerned about a sudden pluming here.
Let's put some of those sensors down and see what the seismology is doing. Let's do that.
Measuring ice tides.
Ice tides. I think it's probably safe, but that's probably not enough to go on. It's what I communicate.
Tech coming out.
Yeah, let's do the tech.
Orders. Yeah.
What does the tricorder say?
Yeah, so how's a radiation as a sort of, you know?
So you you run some what would you be using? Radar and magnetic mapping. And you can see that the crust is indeed still very deep here. So you don't think that you have any need for concern. It's basically as deep as it is on the flat areas. So whatever this is probably historic. There are, you know as well that there are some areas on Europa that are kind of, there are like kind of bands that cross the entire moon, which seem to have been, you know, long, like millions of years ago, historical things. So perhaps, you know, these could be that old and basically the equivalent of hills that have just been there for forever.
I'd maybe like to take some core samples if we have
absolutely
the ability to do that. Yeah, and samples of any of the mottling. I don't know whether it's just geological or no. I suppose it would be a big thing if it was organic, wouldn't it? But yes, either way, get some samples.
You've got a kind of like a kind of drill with a gap in it, so you can drill in and it extracts that, and you can just kind of then eject that into the into one of your pots.
Make sure to label it.
Back to the ship. Back to the
And I suppose, well, Parker, are you able at all to get any communication with this NASA vehicle? All the scientists, or
we haven't had any comms back, and I'm pretty sure it's not our equipment. I think our receiving on our end, I think it's all good. So haven't had anything through. Can try sending another message as well, just to say we'll be back at the ship in X time, whatever our estimate is. There, insert time estimate here, in case they want to communicate or share findings.
Let's do that, and then we'll head back to the ship.
Mark, those tracks you saw, do you have any idea of how recent they were?
I'm going to guess no.
He did roll very well. What I will say is it's difficult because even if you can track on Earth and know how long something's been there, there's a reduced atmosphere and reduced gravity. So, but you are pretty certain that they only landed 8 to 12 hours before you. So it can't be days.
Yeah.
Or years.
And we're the first people on Europa, right? Definitely the first.
Second.
Well, second category.
Yeah, second
but like
set,
this,
yeah.
These missions are the first set of humans.
Yeah.
To our knowledge.
So definitely the first.
Is the trip back to the shuttle uneventful?
It is, yeah.
Good.
And you arrive back. I would say that you are all, you kind of all realise at a similar time that you are all ravenous. And also weirdly tired.
Technically, we haven't eaten in 2 years.
But it's taken your body a little while to catch up to that fact. The digestive system doesn't always get started straight away.
Do let me know if you have any weird stomach or chest pains.
Was that listed as a potential side effect?
Do you think we got a list of potential side effects?
I mean, never mind. Let's assume, leaving the buggy kind of outside, but locked.
Yeah.
Have they started doing them with keys now?
I think Moore has a track record of removing essential components from buggies so that they cannot be driven.
Maybe there's like a space crook lock thing you can put over the steering wheel.
Yeah. When we have the big, because I imagine it's getting pretty dark now, the big high beam light on the ship again. I do want to just any remaining time before we head back in, I want to spend going out. Probably, I don't mind going in last, but I want to do a more thorough check of the external part of the spacecraft to make sure that everything looks in order.
Cool.
And I'll stick with more so that he's not alone.
Yeah,
I'll be heading in.
You don't spot any issue. There is a spotlight on the ship if you want to turn that on in case they see where you are, and
probably a good idea.
Easier to see than the sort of blinky wayfinder. So everyone eating and trying to get a little sleep.
And so first of all, we'll probably just get the sort of recorded logs of the findings and stuff. You just start sending off that kind of scientific info, just make sure that's being transmitted, and then go grab food and sleep and what have you.
Yeah, and no message yet back from mission control about us landing or Nothing about the NASA scientists mysteriously going missing.
No, there's nothing back from UK base, but by the time your message has got there and the messages come back, so by your morning, you think there may be something.
I'm gonna like try and leave a message with NASA, basically saying like, urgent, please do check in. You know, we've come across this craft, which we assume to be your craft, obviously, and we're unable to establish contact. So please, we're fairly sure it's not on our end, but even if it's something like flashing your light a few times every few hours, that would be enough for us to know. We're going to sleep now, so reconvene
Can I
this time. Please, Bob.
Can I stay up a bit later rather than going straight to sleep? I'm just conscious the cryo stuff has still not really been looked at yet. And yeah, like it might not be a full fix just yet, but at least try and get a bit of a diagnostic, initial investigations to see. Essentially, I wouldn't want to be in a situation where we're like, right, we finished, we've got to go home now, we've run out of food. Oh shit, we can't. This is going to take us a week to fix now. We'd like to.
Do you want to make a mechanical repair roll again, Inga, for Sam?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed, but I'm gonna suggest Parker takes no more than an hour on this because we do want you to sleep.
That was big success. 16. My extreme success is a 14. I'm going to use another 2 luck points to bring that down to the extreme.
That's
success.
good.
Yes, you are sort of messing with it for a while, and you're convinced that you're sort of on the edge of having it working, and you're a second away from calling it a night when you're not sure if it's some outside influence has given you the right thing to do, but the last thing that you do sorts it, and the flashing light turns to solid, and then another light comes on the desk of a radio transmission coming through.
Yeah, we'll go and see to that.
So I think Gilman would have if he knew that Parker was staying up, Gilman would have also stayed up, just to keep an eye on things.
So disappears off with the buggy.
Well, I would say
that deal about Mark. Do you trust the crew as we go on this mission? Just like, yeah, of course, Gilman and Moore, they'll be fine. We will trust each other.
Moore and Dinning are probably awoken anyway, unless they're sleeping with earplugs in, by this message that comes through, which begins with incredibly loud sound of outside that, and then you hear kind of cutting in and out like oh my god, no, no, wait, no, that, and then it cuts, and we can take another short break, and then we'll be back for the finale. Everything's going to be fine.